In this vlog today, I want to talk about personality change on testosterone. I had a fantastic question from Squirrel-backed Hedgehog, whose name I can't say without grinning because it's such a fantastic name. And they asked if my personality had changed on testosterone, and if it had, in what way had it changed? Well, this is a really interesting question, but as a psychology student, I have to say that there are so many confounding variables that trying to make a correlation between starting testosterone and personality change is quite difficult. Because, yes, there are so many confounding variables. There is the fact that my personality would have changed in time anyway, over the years from 2013 to now. I'm also in recovery from drug and alcohol addiction. I was barely a year clean and sober when I came out and started T, so that's changed my personality as well. And of course, it's not really that testosterone itself has changed it. It may well be that just my comfortability in my body and my expression has changed my personality. So it's a bit of a loaded question, so I just wanted to get that out there because I can't help but think like a psychology student, because I am one. But, okay. Has my personality changed on testosterone? Absolutely, 100% yes. I mean, I was a shy little wallflower.
Hello, my name's Finley.
Incredibly shy, didn't have very much confidence, very little self-esteem. Still full of anxiety, you know, and one of the biggest things I've noticed on testosterone is how my anxiety really did massively lower. It was lowering anyway when I started testosterone from just getting sober and clean and getting some more healthy coping tools. But I felt a complete shift, which I've talked about before, when I started testosterone. It was almost like my internal workings had been backfiring on testosterone, and so that had led me to just be really anxious and nervy and all sorts of kind of strange, tense internal feelings. And as soon as I had testosterone in my system, it was just like the engine started running smoothly and I could just kind of relax inside my own body. Even before the changes started happening, it was just an internal shift. And yes, it may well be just like psychodynamic or whatever. Here we go, psychology again. But that's how I perceived it. I perceived it very, very much a relaxing inside my body, that the right hormones were there. And as time has gone on, it's just been like a more settling into my body. And I don't think it's changed my personality as much as in it's turned up the good stuff and turned back down the bad stuff. So the anxiety, the kind of being too scared to talk in public and talk to people and just socialise and all of that's lowered right down. I'm so much more comfortable in social situations. For goodness sake, you know, I vlog on YouTube, I've done talks and what have you now, and there's no way I'd have done that pre-T. You know, I'd kind of do the odd share in AA, you know, that was okay in kind of that environment, but outside of that environment, there's no way you'd have got me up in front of school children doing a talk or in front of people doing a talk. You know, it just would not have happened. So I think that has been the biggest thing, the kind of confidence. In terms of my outgoingness, I've always been outgoing, but alcohol-fueled outgoing. And when I got sober, I think that became much, much harder because it was just me and I had no crutch to hide behind and nothing to kind of make me get out there and get confident. Whereas since starting testosterone and the changes started to happen, I am just out there again. I feel so much more confident. Do you know, there's so many situations where I'll just be somewhere and I'll be socialising and I'll get this realisation in my head of just how different I'm relating in that situation and just how much more confident I am talking to people. And I do think that this is mainly because I feel as if people are now talking to the real me. It was like I was inside talking and they were relating to somebody that wasn't me, so there was this barrier. So now my kind of face represents the real person I see myself to be, the man I see myself to be, and the voice is my voice. it's like that there is no barrier now between me and another person, so they're really talking to me. So that kind of makes me really actually want to talk to people and go over to people, whereas before it didn't. In terms of how I manage things, I do manage things so much better. In terms of managing my time, managing my emotions, I've become a lot more relaxed about that sort of thing. And actually talking about relax, that's one of the funniest things that's happened on since transitioning, is I've just lost the ability to plan ahead. I'm so bad at it now. I used to be really, really rigid with lists, and I used to panic beforehand. If we were going anywhere, then a few days beforehand there'd be a list made and what have you. And now, if we're going somewhere, it'll often just come to the day and I'll go, oh, better organise something then. That could just be, that I'm just more relaxed in myself, and well, it is because I'm more relaxed in myself. But I do find that quite funny and quite frustrating at times, actually, because I used to be the one that you could rely on to organise everything in advance, to be like neatly ordered lists and what have you, and now I'm just like, whatever, we'll just rock up. And that's been quite something to get used to. In terms of my emotions, I've always found it quite difficult to cry. I find it even more difficult now on testosterone to cry. But what I do notice is my emotions are much more short-lived. I was worried that on testosterone I might kind of suddenly become quite loud and quite angry and abrupt. And I'm not, but what I am is I'm more direct. If you say something to me that I don't like or I don't agree with, I'll be very quick to say, no, I don't think that, or I don't agree with that. And I think that is a lot to do with confidence in myself and my own opinion, and also that I now don't feel the need to have to people please as much as I once did, and I was so paranoid about people liking me, whereas now, because I like me anyway, if you don't like me, well then that's up to you, isn't it? You can't always like everybody, and that's actually okay. And so I'm a lot more, I still get anxious, I still don't like conflict when it comes to that. I still get that kind of like shaky feeling if it comes to like a heated discussion with someone. But on the whole, I'm so much better at going, no, can you please not do that? So yeah, that's been quite a strange thing. But one thing I do notice that's quite interesting is my emotions are much more short-lived. Although there is still that kind of like, you go over what someone said, it's not as much as I used to in my old incarnation. I kind of get angry or upset or whatever, and I say something about it and it's gone. So it's like the duck. I've said this before about this kind of like the duck flap emotion, and I love that because I've always strived to do this thing where you get annoyed, then rather than reliving it for days and days and days, you just go like that. Because this is what swans do in a lake. You'll see, I can't remember where I read this, but it's so true. You see swans in a lake, they're swimming around, they'll have a little peck and a go at each other, then they'll flap their wings and go off swimming serenely again. And that's kind of what's happened to me. I'm much more able to kind of react, or respond, not react, respond to something that goes on, go no, and then just flap my wings and walk away from it. So that's quite a wonderful thing. Self-belief. I have much more self-belief. I have much more hope for the future. I really do feel there's so many things I want to do, and I'd love to do them all, but what's more important is that I can actually try to do them now. Like, me and Drew travel all over the place, that's something that we both love doing, because beforehand I just wouldn't do it. I couldn't go to London without being really anxious, and now we know we'll pop off to London and we'll go camping or whatever, because everything's just so much more relaxed. I don't get so anxious and so overwhelmed by the world, so there's just so much I want to do, and I've got so much excitement for life now that I never had before. And I tell you what, since having lower surgery as well, I had this experience with top surgery where I suddenly started inhabiting my body more. But now I've had lower surgery, I'm really inhabiting my body. It's quite a beautifully surreal and hard to explain feeling where I'm really present now. I mean, I do practice mindfulness and meditation, and so I did have a degree of that anyway, but not in my whole body, if that makes sense. I was still kind of closed off to certain bits of my body because certain bits of my body made me uncomfortable and what have you, but now it's like, this is all me. I'm in the whole of my body and breathing, which is just such a wonderfully freeing feeling. I'm trying to think if there's some bad things about my personality to kind of balance this out a bit. I was really worried about losing my passion for life. I get really passionate about things that I believe in. And I was worried about that going, and it hasn't gone at all. If anything, it's more focused. I get passionate and go, right, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. I was worried about stopping being cute, which is bizarre, but I'm going to be honest about this. Drew has always loved how cute I am, and I was really worried that I'd just be like this big burly bloke and wouldn't be like cute to Drew anymore. But he says I'm still cute, and you know, I quite like my kind of flamboyant cuteness personality. You know, I'm not uber male. In fact, funny enough, talking about personality, I'm probably less male expressed now than I was before. Beforehand, before testosterone, I was very much like, I need to be seen as male, so I must stand male, I must not smile, I must do this, you know, and I just kind of had to sacrifice who I was in order to be seen for who I am. You know, that's a really bizarre thing, but it's so what happens. You know, I desperately needed to be seen as male, so it had to be collars, keep my voice low, not smile, handshake, all of that. So, like, transitioning and looking and sounding as I should, I can now relax and I can be a bit flamboyant and, you know, and a bit cute and all of that. And it doesn't mean that my masculinity is going to come into question. And I love that I'm now just me. I'm not play acting to be seen as somebody I am. I'm just absolutely me and able to express that side of myself that I kind of kept hidden. So, yeah, I mean, that is the only thing I was worried about losing, I think, really. That, and I didn't want to be angry, and I'm not, I'm just more direct. But I'm not angry, and I'd never describe myself as angry. I'm still just as affectionate. If, actually, I'd say probably more affectionate, because I don't, like, want to vomit when someone touches me, you know, hugging me. I love hugs, but they'd become so difficult because I was just so aware of my chest. And just lately I've been so aware of my crotch, and so now I'm having to learn to re-hug with the bum out, because, you know, that's a bit dodgy otherwise. So with friends and family, you better hug them properly and just know that my body's right, and to let Drew touch me now, and there's no area that I go whoa anymore. You know, it's nice that, as I say, whole body presence, and that has an impact on how I live my life and how I connect with other people, and it's beautiful. So yeah, I don't really know what else to say about my personality in terms of has it changed. Of course it has. Becoming the man I've always known myself to be has made me into a much happier, healthier, balanced, relaxed man. But I just think everything's kind of levelled out. Rather than extremes of personality and emotions, or a deficit of personality and emotions, I've kind of come up to a level on things. So it's not so much changed me as brought out the best in me. It's allowed me to be all the things I knew I was and knew I could be, but was too scared to be because I just didn't feel comfortable in my own body. And as I say, I don't really think that's the testosterone itself. It's rather the changes the testosterone has given me has allowed me to relax. I probably have rambled on a bit in trying to answer this, and I've jumped ahead to and from, but I hope that has answered as best you can. As best as I can. I might get Drew to do a version of this with me and not show him this, and see how he interprets how I've changed. But talking of Drew, I have put a few notices up everywhere that we are doing a video together. We were supposed to do it at the weekend, but trying to get Drew in front of a camera is like trying to get wet soap out of a bath. But he is going to do a video with me at some point this week. So any questions about how it's going with him now, 3 months on testosterone, do send the questions my way, and we will answer those. And if you want your name shouted out with your question, because some people apparently do, then let me know. But if you want it anonymous, that's absolutely fine as well. But yes, do drop your questions my way. Hope that helped. If there's anything else you'd like me to elaborate on, please do send me a message and let me know. Right. Have a wonderful week, everybody, and I will see you very soon.